Hello and welcome back to Curbstomp City, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new announcement for TEW IX, the latest release in the Total Extreme Wrestling series. So we're going to be taking a look at all of the announcements, breaking it all down, seeing when the game comes out, what's going to be new in the game, and also the potential future of this channel and whether new videos will be coming. With that said, let's head over to the Grey Dog Software forum, where the great Adam Ryland has released a big update on the new game. So he says that I'm pleased to announce that the newest game in the TEW franchise, Total Extreme Wrestling 9, will be released by Grey Dog Software in just a few weeks. Additionally, the ever-popular Developers Journal will begin today in order to reveal what new features and changes you can expect. But there will be a public beta released on Saturday, July 27th, which is free to play and will be a fully functioning version of the game, but it will have a limit on how many months you can play. So this will essentially be a demo, but the full game will then have fixes from this beta period. And if you are buying the game, make sure you head to tewdb.com and click that affiliate link at the top, as I have been losing some money keeping this website active over the last few years with little activity itself on the actual site. But I do plan on updating the site in the weeks ahead, getting the latest 2020 databases all on there, all the historical ones, and I think we're pretty much up to date on the real world mods. So we'll get it to the point where you can convert these 2020 databases over to the new game, and then when the new databases start coming out for the new game itself, then I'll start adding them as soon as I can, and I'm going to try and keep on top of things a little bit better in this game cycle. So yeah, if you want to support the channel and the site. On the post he goes into why it's called TEW 9 and not TEW 2024, which is actually something I've been calling for a change on for quite some time as the game becomes dated. Say TEW 2020 is now 4 years old, but it's still the latest version, yet for new buyers they might think it's just some old game. And it seems like Adam agrees with this. So he says, we've decided to make this change to the naming scheme because having a year in the title is generally used to denote an annual release. As there are several years between modern TEW releases, we felt a switch to numbers would be more appropriate going forward. He also confirms that the QLM license system the Grey Dogs have been using over the past couple of years will remain in place, as opposed to the old E-license system. Now, I haven't used the QLM system just yet, as I already own the game from the old E-license system, but apparently it's better to use and more convenient, so I guess that's a good thing. He also says that we will not be able to continue our TEW 2020 save games, which is kind of a pain because I started a new save about a month ago, but I guess we'll just have to start again on that local to global. He also confirms that it will be an entirely new game, but he's not looking to reinvent the wheel, but there will be new features and changes applied on the foundation that already exists. As for the minimum requirements, they're not confirmed in this post, but he basically says if you can play TEW 2020, you can play TEW 9, and he also confirms that there's no official time of release on August 3rd, as to not overload the website, but it will come out at some point during that day, and I assume that's the same for the beta on July 27th. As for the developer journal itself, we're not going to read through the whole block of text, but there will be a booking team where you can have up to 5 members to assist the head booker, and there's a creative energy stat which is generated based on the team's booking skill. So I assume the higher creative energy, the better ratings you put on your show. There's also a management aspect to this where CE can be banked and spent on creative ideas, which is discussed further on in the journal. He also says that there's a team dynamics element to the booking team, and it's a high pressure environment, and basically relationships are very volatile within it, and you need a careful selection to avoid dysfunction. And there's also backstage politics involved, and members of your roster or company can request to join the team, and if you refuse them, there could be conflict or morale issues. So as for the creative ideas thing that was discussed earlier, there's different types of creative ideas. So there's creative finishes, angle ideas, gimmick ideas, storyline ideas, and character ideas. So these will be proposed by the creative team. Each idea will have a success rating, expiry date, and potential restrictions, and failure may result in penalties. And wrestlers that are creative can also contribute their own ideas for themselves. Some other smaller things is that you can set your child company's production values to be locked so they can't upgrade it themselves, or you can let them do what they want, basically. That also means they can't downgrade it if you don't want them to. There's also new graphics for custom backdrops, which includes companies, stables, alliance, and for specific brands. There's new product narratives, which is touched on later in the post. And there's also the ability for database makers to set a broadcast deal to be a random length at the start of the game as opposed to a set length, say a year, 3 months, 9 months, whatever it may be. And that's similar to how contracts work in the game. You can set them as random, and then as you start a save, it'll give every contract that's got random a length. So it could be a year, 2 years, as opposed to setting it yourself. But yeah, that's more of the database side of things rather than the in-game stuff. There's also some new roles that you can pick within an inner circle, so you can have locker room leaders and have up to 5 that impact locker room dynamics. There's chief enforcers, where you can have up to 3 of them, and they're responsible for the discipline side of things. You can have head of talent relations, who handles locker room incidents, reducing Booker's direct involvement. Say you don't want to bother with all that stuff, or you feel like there's somebody on your team that will do it better than you. So yeah, you can take on that responsibility yourself, or you can hire somebody. You can also employ a morale officer who ensures a positive backstage environment. You can have a senior road agent who manages road agents and ensures booking instructions are followed. A senior referee, head trainer, travel organizer, and a travel organizer, which are all self-explanatory. And you can also have a stooge, which acts as the booker's eyes and ears backstage, reporting unseen activities. So essentially a mole that grasses on their roster mates, I guess. There's also the ability to choose the elimination order of elimination style matches. You can now name your company up to 50 characters. There'll be region-based capacity limits for generic venues, enhanced promises, such as workers promising to put others over in angles. There will be team bonding pre-event options to build team spirit and loyalty, I guess kind of like the post-show speech, maybe with more detail. You can choose how often independent shows happen outside of actual companies that exist in the game, where it just says US independent show or whatever it says. Smaller companies have more tolerant fans, so sometimes your fans can turn on a worker, but that's less likely to happen if you're just a small company with a less hardcore fan base, I guess. So yeah, now we're back to the narratives thing, and you can set it so narratives only happen when a specific person is the owner or head booker. So an example of a narrative that you can set in a database at the start when you're a database maker, you want it so in 2001, WWF changed their name to WWE. That's like a preset thing you can set in the game. So yeah, you can basically have conditions where they only happen if worker A is working in the company, for example, or say WWE will only go PG if Vince McMahon is still in charge at that point. And they've also extended the bankruptcy grace period to 3 years for new companies. So basically, you've got time to get out of the red if you have a bad start as a local company. So on the previous game, if you started a new company and 1 year out, if you go into the red from that point on, your company closes. Now that basically freedom is now 3 years. So you can't go bankrupt within the first 3 years of your company starting. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing so far, at least on the first 2 posts. That's yesterday's and today's as of this recording. But I will leave a link down below if you want to check it out as the weeks progress. And maybe we can do some update videos over the next few weeks to see what the latest changes are. But with that said, as for content on this channel, it basically depends on how well this video does, because I've got a feeling that the channel might be dead at this point, and I'm not sure whether YouTube's going to push it out and recommend it to people. And I think most of the viewers have probably moved on, maybe even away from the game or just my channel in general. So we'll see how it goes. But do let me know in the comments what you want to see if there were to be content going forward, and whether you're even interested, and let me know if you're not as well. But if you do want to see some content come to the channel, maybe a series, maybe some experiments, stuff like that, heading into the new game cycle, make sure you drop a like on this video. Let me know in the comments down below. And for this one, we're going to leave it there, and maybe we'll see you going forward. But until next time, peace.